The views, information, or opinions expressed on the Tuddle Daily Podcast are solely those of the individuals involved and do not necessarily represent those of our sponsors. Yeah, it's called free speech, people. Nobody's forcing you to listen. Get ready for your daily dose of Tuddle.
The all-time greatest intern/producer we've ever had, of course, Tuddle. Tuddle in Florida.
From the Hobo Fish Camp, it's the Tuddle Daily Podcast.
No wonder nobody likes you, Tuddle.
All right.
Everything's a goddamn debate.
Here we go. Right out of the box. Greetings and welcome to another edition of the Tuddle Daily Podcast. 3 days in a row coming straight out of the box. I would give you the phone number. Oh, man, it is the lightning and thunder is horrendous here right now. So if you're watching the show and it just cuts off all of a sudden, it's because I lost power. It's popping like it's hot. It's popping that lightning. But like I said, I'm going to give out the number. I don't know why I could not hear Fish on J. Well, I could hear Fish on J. You just couldn't hear Fish on J. So if you like, I'll try it again. See if it's something on my end. 407-270-3044. I was going back through the archives on the platforms that I stream on weeknight 7 p.m. I was noticing like I wear a lot of the same clothes because I work from home. I've been, let's see if this works. All right, so I need you guys to tell me if you can hear this. 904. Oh, okay. So, all right. Let's there we go. All right. So, I don't know. Let's see if anybody, could you guys hear him? He said Lima Charlie. No, couldn't hear it. Man, I don't know what the hell's going on there. But I wear like this shirt, the black Nike shirt, the collared Nike shirt. I was wearing some of the longer sleeve shirts that I got from Vulture, and I was mixing it up a little bit, but I was like, man, I really gotta mix it up a little bit because I know a lot of people are all they're gonna be like, oh, does Tuddle only own 3 or 4 shirts? And I know my hair is getting crazy. It is. This is the longest it's been in a while. Look, I'm getting a little bit of a mullet on the back. So that's growing out there. And I don't want you guys to think, oh, Tuddle, he's looking rough. No, I'm gonna shave. I cannot grow a beard to save my life. It's just patchy. I cannot do it. And the only time that I look good with facial hair is maybe about in between 3 and 7 days. When Vulture says, he says, Patchy Pat. But in between 3 and 7 days, my facial hair I think it looks good when I have the scruff. A little bit of the scruff. Right now, it looks bad. It looks so bad. I really don't know what went wrong. My dad had one of the most magnificent mustaches that you would have ever seen. Like it would have rivaled Sam Elliott. He's got that big bushy mustache. My dad could do that. He really could not grow a beard. He couldn't. But a lot of people think, oh man, you're less than a man. If you ever notice, the people that grow a lot of facial hair and the people that have a lot of body hair are the ones that tend to go bald. My dad always brought that up, and I thought he was full of crap when he was saying it. But now, if you look at it, I mean, the people that have a lot of body hair, they're thinning hair or balding. So I'll take it because I don't have a lot of body hair, not a lot of chest hair, but I do have hair around my nipples. I don't want you to think I only have one nipple, but and then it's around the areola. It's almost like a male mammary gland / crop circle. Because, I mean, the hair is not going to grow in the dark part of the areola. So it grows right on the edge and then right around the nipple. Right around the nipple, I get some real stringy, long-ass hairs that come out around my nipple area. I know a lot of you guys, when you were... I'm going to check out the Tuddle Daily podcast tonight. And now he's talking about how his areola and nipples are like boob crop circles. So I do have some news stories. There are so many news stories that I could talk about. I don't support either side, Democrat, Republican, whatever it may be, but I find it comical and funny as hell that the Republican Party are kind of having like their own little civil war right now because they can't even find the Speaker of the House. But I'm not going to talk about that. I'm not going to talk about that at all. I want to talk about how they're using ketamine for depression to help treat depression. This guy that I guess he just decided to drive off a cliff in his Tesla. And I found it kind of odd how they kept mentioning Tesla. Does anybody think that if this guy would have driven off the side of this cliff in a Ford Ranger or a Dodge Durango, that they would have mentioned that? No. But Tesla, it was like this guy drove. By the way, I mean, had to be mentally ill. You know what? I'm going to get into that story first because I'm already talking about it, and I find it a little bit fascinating that, I mean, that Tesla is just getting connected
After a
to this whole
dramatic
thing.
rescue of all 4 passengers in a Tesla that plummeted off a 250-foot cliff in California.
Okay, so why did you have to mention Tesla? I mean, if it would have been a Ford F-150, would you have said, "Oh, the Ford F-150"? No, you would have said a truck. If it was a Chevy, a Ford, a Dodge truck, you just would have said it was a truck. And I don't want anybody to think that I'm defending Elon or whatever, but I'm just like, whoa, what's going on here? What does him driving a Tesla have anything to do with him just being a crazy ass lunatic that decided to drive off a cliff in California? And it wasn't an accident. He had enough.
California. Authorities have arrested the driver of the vehicle, charging him with attempted murder and child abuse. Investigators with California Highway Patrol say they believe the man, Dharmesh Patel, a doctor in radiology, drove the Tesla, carrying his wife and 2 children.
Well, I mean, that's 2 Tesla mentions. Once again, I'm not defending Elon at all, but why? Why is it important to keep saying Tesla? Are you guys trying to allude that maybe the self-driving mode didn't work? Are you guys digging a little bit? Now, this guy was just a crazy ass lunatic that had enough of everyday life, and he decided to drive off a cliff. We've all, come on, man. Let's be honest, people. We've all had that thought. We've all had that thought that we're driving down the road and we're just like, I could swerve right to the left and it would cause all types of chaos. We've all been there. I've talked about this before, and I don't want anybody to think that I would ever do this. But I always, like, if I go to a fast food restaurant or whatever, and there's a cop ordering food, I would never, ever do it. But it really makes me feel uncomfortable because I want to grab his gun. I don't want to grab his gun to, like, kill anybody or do anything bad like that. No, not at all. I mean, as soon as I grabbed it, I would hand it back to him immediately. I would not mess around, but I guess just grabbing a cop's gun would be on the same level of deciding to drive your car off the side of a highway. But man, why they're really, really going in hard on Tesla.
Children ages 7 and 4 off the cliff as an intentional act.
We had 4 survivors in a collision where there shouldn't have been any survivors. I mean, it is truly a miracle that they're alive.
The area called Devil's Slide is known for its scenic views and
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Hey, honey, do you want to go see the scenic views on Devil's Slide? No, I'm good.
sharp drop-off. Eyewitnesses horrified to see the car go off the road, frantically calling 911.
I could see in my rearview mirror just the car being, straight like this, and then all of a sudden just disappeared down.
I bet. See, I gotta be careful. Come on, guys. Like, I never had kids. Never had, but let's be honest. You're a man, you're working your ass off. You are trying to keep everything together. You're driving down the road. The kids are being a bunch of little assholes in the back seat. And your wife is bitching at you about all types of stuff. Stuff that, like, I mean, why even bring up? Honey, I'm working my ass off and stuff. Can't you just handle that? No, I'm being dead. I mean, I mean, Vulture says, girl, Vulture screams. I'd do it 100%. So let's be honest. Who knows what this guy was going through? Maybe the kids were just being little assholes in the back seat. They were just losing their shit. And then your wife is bitching at you. And you know what? You just snapped. You made a rash decision and you were like, you know what? I'm going to just drive off the side of this cliff. I'm just going to drive off the side of the cliff and just whoever survives, survives. And this poor bastard, everybody survived. Everybody survived. And now you're arrested for attempted murder.
Rescuers rappelling down the cliff saved the 2 children first. Then a helicopter crew hoisted the 2 adults from the mangled vehicle. All were rushed to the hospital.
The damage to the vehicle would indicate that it...
So, but also at the same time, guys, so I didn't even think about this. NBC, I mean, this was on the Today Show on NBC. They wanted to keep talking about Tesla this, Tesla that. This might be a positive because this guy drove off a cliff and landed on a bunch of rocks and nobody died. I mean, I think this is a great ass commercial for Elon and Tesla. That right there shows me that those Teslas are safe as hell.
Hit and then flipped several times. Landed mostly on its wheels. We immediately put a plan in place to lower rescuers down to the vehicle to get eyes and assess what we had.
Authorities say it's very rare for people to survive such a...
Wow, look at, man. I'm shooting a commercial. I mean, what I thought was a bad thing for Elon, now thinking about this is great publicity for Elon. I mean, that's got to be a 40 to 60 foot drop. Unsavory character. I know. Look, okay. Unsavory character. Brah, he tried to kill his family. It's tragic, but also at the same time, I'm talking about why they kept mentioning Tesla. I mean, I'm trying to take a different angle here, unsavory character. I'm sorry if I offended you in any way, but I'm just bringing it up. I mean, this is a great example of how safe Tesla cars are. I mean, unsavory character. The news said 250. I thought it was an accident. No, I mean, I guess he just had enough.
Fall, and that the children's car seats may have saved their lives.
We were actually very shocked when we found survivable victims in the vehicle. So that actually was a hopeful moment for us.
According to the California Highway Patrol, the driver was arrested at the hospital.
Man.
Investigators have not said why he may have done it, but
I mean, let's be honest. We know. We all know. I bet the guy got fired from his job. The guy was dealing with some kids that did not respect him, a wife that didn't as well. And he just had enough. He was done with it. I mean, I talk about all the issues
The
that I
vibe is
have
less
with
doctor's
my
office.
depression and stuff. But now, like, there are so many alternative treatments now besides these psychotropic drugs that just make you like a zombie. But now they're treating people with like chronic depression with ketamine. I talked about this when I recorded the podcast with Bubba about microdosing mushrooms, psychedelics. And for the longest time, I was told that psychedelics and mushrooms and I mean, I've done ketamine before. I mean, it wasn't under a doctor's watch. Because, I mean, everything that I knew about ketamine was a cat tranquilizer. And it would put you in a K-hole. And it does. It makes you feel like you have absolutely melted into your bed or the floor, the carpet, or whatever it may be. That's how it makes you feel. And now they're actually using it as a treatment.
Tranquil Spa, part of what attracted Sherry Scythes to this nationwide chain of clinics offering ketamine-assisted therapy called Field Trip. Sherry has had a lot of trauma in her life.
Field Trip. Because, I mean, I don't know if ketamine has changed, because I did it in the early 2000s, mid-2000s. A lot of people say you should call it the aughts. You know, 0000. But I don't think I ever tripped at all. But I hear the microdosing on the psychedelics is really, really good.
A tough childhood, the death of her mother, a divorce, the loss of her best friend.
I realized that I just had this deep sadness in me and this anxiety in my chest.
That wouldn't go away.
That wouldn't go away.
Friends told her about ketamine. It's FDA approved as an anesthetic, but also an illegal street drug used for its psychedelic effects.
Yeah, Special K.
Now, a growing number of studies have found ketamine used off-label can be effective for people with treatment-resistant depression.
Patients say, this has changed my life. I feel like I can breathe again.
Mike Dow.
All right. I mean, okay. So, by the way, people, this is not covered under insurance. I don't want anybody to think when they're hearing this news story that they're going to be able to reach out to somebody that's giving you ketamine. It's not going to work that way. I mean, you're going to have to pay straight cash because insurance is not kicking in at all on this.
Dow is a psychotherapist at Field Trip. He says ketamine affects the brain in multiple ways, boosting feel-good chemicals, reducing inflammation, and helping to create new neural pathways that are associated with new habits and behaviors. Patients also undergo a psychedelic experience that can feel spiritual.
Why do you think ketamine might be more effective than other drugs?
Other drugs, they just sort of deal with the surface level, the symptoms.
Oh, yeah. I mean, what it does is they're just numbing you so you can't be the way that you really, really are. Ketamine probably like loosens you up a little bit and you're pretty cool.
Ketamine works so much better because it's getting to what is underneath.
66-year-old Lynette Eberts has been battling severe depression for nearly 40 years. She tried dozens of antidepressants and other therapies.
I just couldn't see a way out of the pain.
In 2016, before many people had heard about ketamine for depression, her therapist suggested it.
I said yes. When and where? I was very anxious to try it.
Why would you say yes to something that you don't know much about? And
this is the dumbest question that this woman could have asked. Like, seriously, you're asking somebody that is dealing with debilitating depression. Why would you take a chance on taking this drug when you don't know much about it? Because guess what? It's better than me trying to commit suicide. Let me find a way to work through this whole entire thing. And as long as I'm not going out and I'm not robbing and stealing to get high on ketamine, and even if they're getting high, if it helps somebody that is dealing with this type of depression and stuff, then let's let them do it. I mean, when you put regulations on things, you create a black market. I mean, when the United States decided that they wanted to come up with prohibition and make alcohol illegal, I mean, all they did was create organized crime. So, I mean, if you just let people, I mean, there is a point of where you can or can't do these type of stuff. If it's endangering children, yeah, I agree with that and stuff. But if something like ketamine, which has been a kind of like a street drug that people could buy and stuff, and it helps them, then let them do it. And I mean, Dave Darkness 9696, weed fix it all. I mean, and I agree, like, weed has helped me out more than anything. It has. I mean, they wanted to put me on all types of drugs and stuff that numb me. It did not give me any motivation, did not want me to better myself. And, at the same time, they always say, oh, weed makes you lazy. And no, it makes me creative, makes me want to come up with ideas how to better my life and stuff.
And you don't know if it's proven.
I was so desperate to feel better. I thought trying something is better than not trying anything at all and ending up taking my own life.
Exactly. That's why that was a bad question.
Lynette says each 45-minute infusion felt like a dream where she saw vibrant colors and shapes.
Yeah.
After her first 3 treatments, she started to feel better.
I started to feel like I could get up and get out of bed.
Yeah. I mean, good for you. I mean, so what? You're taking a little Special K, some cat tranquilizer. Is it helping you? Good for you. Who am I to say that you can't have that?
Dark, deep, depressive cloud started to lift.
But now as ketamine clinics continue to spring up across the U.S. and
everybody else has got to jump in. Everybody else has got to make a quick buck. And they want to get on it. They want to jump right on it. And they're going to ruin it for the rest of everybody. They're, like late 2000, early 2010, the pain pill drug mill machine here in the state of Florida was so bad that now somebody that's actually going through cancer and needs morphine or fentanyl. I don't even know if they prescribe fentanyl. I think that's all you can get in the hospital. But Oxycontin or whatever it is, you can't even get that. And you got to jump through so many hoops because, everybody was coming down from Kentucky and their pain pill prescriptions filled down here because it was the wild, wild west for a little while here in the state of Florida.
Become more popular, some doctors are worried it's too unregulated.
My concern is that people who need treatment will spend their time, money, and energy in these ketamine clinics that aren't well proven, and there's also risks associated with that.
Side effects include changes in mood and blood pressure, nausea, and drowsiness.
All right, so if you didn't know all the side effects that what drug it was related to, and I said, change in mood and blood pressure, alcohol, check. Nausea, alcohol, check. Drowsiness, alcohol, check. Guess what's illegal? Alcohol, check.
Treatments cost between $400 and $800 on average and are not covered by insurance. At Field Trip, ketamine treatments are supervised by a medical professional like a nurse and happen in conjunction with psychotherapy.
That sounds pretty badass.
We watched as Sherry prepared for her latest session, meditating at first, then receiving a dose. She vividly remembers her first trip last winter.
What happened the first time?
I saw myself as a little girl.
Mm-hmm.
And I was in the woods that I loved to be in when I was a child.
Mm-hmm.
And then I saw my mother. I felt this unconditional love for her that I couldn't quite feel when she was alive. Once it was over, that deep sadness that was in my body for so long was just gone.
All right. So people are getting, look, if it's under medical supervision and all that stuff, then you know what? I think it's great. I think it is awesome and good for the people that it helps. I am going to get into one more news story before I go. This is another example of how the news just likes to twist things and make it seem like there's an underlying thing. I don't support the death penalty because I don't think it works. It just doesn't. But also at the same time, my best friend Derek, that I grew up with in DeLeon Springs, Florida. His brother was murdered. The guy that did it was found guilty, and he got the death penalty. He's still not dead yet. I don't think they have killed him. But if the death penalty really, really worked, people would still not be killing people, not premeditated murder. But I also can't judge the people that have lost a loved one that wants to see the person that killed their loved one put to death. Because I've never gone through it. And I really do think that probably my mind would be changed if I had a loved one taken from me by somebody else. And I just can't judge him. So I'm a little divided on the whole situation. I don't think it works, but I also can't look down on people that support the death penalty.
We're kind of on pins and needles right now, waiting to see what the governor's final statement will be.
Amber McLaughlin's life is in the hands.
So the reason why this is a big news story is because this is going to be one of the first transsexual person that is going to be put to death, that's been on death row, that is finally going to meet her day. I don't want to be offensive, but I don't care what people do in their personal life. I support the LGBTQ. I always will. I also respect the people's rights that don't agree with it as well, too.
Hands of Missouri Governor Mike Parson. McLaughlin is on death row for murdering her ex-girlfriend in 2003.
It was just two.
All right. So I got some questions here. Was this person a man when the murder was committed? And did this all come out when he was in jail and decided that he was transgender? These are all questions that the news needs the answer here.
Giving too nice. Her heart was real big, and she had faith. Well, she has faith in everybody. Everyone deserves a chance. It was one of those, if I can't have you, you can't. And nobody can have you kind of thing.
And that sounds like Southern true love there. If I can't have you, nobody have you.
McLaughlin's attorney says as of Friday, all legal proceedings are done.
You are out of court. Those 5 horrible words that no defense attorney wants to hear in a capital case.
Lawrence Comp explains their stay of execution request was denied by the Missouri Supreme Court, and now they can't turn to the U.S. Supreme Court.
Nah, they got all types of other things they got to deal with. But I could see why people would why news stations would cover this news story. It does have an interesting twist on it, but does it really, really matter if it's a heterosexual, transgender, gay, lesbian? I don't think it really, really matters, because guess what? At the end of the day, you're just going to be a dead human being. What were the lawyers going for? Some type of sympathy here? I'm just curious.
We presented the arguments that we presented to the Missouri Supreme Court were based on an expansion of state law. So there wasn't a federal principle underneath it.
McLaughlin would be the first openly transgender woman killed.
Did McLaughlin go to the men's prison or the ladies' prison? Once again, These are questions. This is all information that pretty much national news, local news, they're just too scared to bring this up because this is the type of stuff that needs to be included into this news story
by the state, unless Governor Parson grants clemency.
And the governor has not made a decision yet. He has a clemency application on his desk.
Attorneys have made their case to the governor, saying certain evidence wasn't presented to the jury. And while the jury convicted McLaughlin of the crime, they were deadlocked on a death sentence. That's when a St. Louis County judge set the ruling.
They did not give the death penalty to Amber. And so that being done by a judge, we think is fundamentally unfair.
See,
the governor's decision is still unknown.
I don't agree with that. I mean, sometimes in some states here, like even if the jury doesn't recommend it, that the judge still can be like, nah, we're killing you. We're killing you.
In the meantime, Missourians for Alternatives to the Death Penalty send love to the victim's family and to McLaughlin.
Our hearts go out to every victim's family. So our compassion and our empathy definitely go out to the family. We just understand that taking another life is not going to solve anything.
No, but you also cannot look down on the loved ones that had somebody that was taken from them prematurely. No, you just can't do that. So, do I think that the death penalty works? No, it doesn't. I mean, if it did, people wouldn't be still committing murder, especially premeditated murder. But I also said that I can't look down or judge family members that support the death penalty because I've never been that way. I don't have any siblings, but I can only imagine if when I was married, if my wife would have been killed by somebody or my mom or my dad, of course, I might have a different view on the whole topic. That's why I don't look down on people that support it. All right, guys, I'm going to get out of here. It's been a long ass day. My corporate job has been busy as hell, especially coming out of the new year. Been having to do a lot of recruiting and stuff, but hopefully after this week, things are going to die down a little bit. Maybe I can start doing some longer shows and stuff. So I'm going to get out of here, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed tonight's show. Hopefully you guys stay safe, and I will talk to you tomorrow.